Let me ask you something. If I told you right now, today, that you could become a millionaire, would you believe me? Probably not. And honestly, I get it. Because when most people hear millionaire, they picture someone who got lucky with crypto, inherited money from a grandparent, or built some app that blew up overnight. They don't picture themselves. They don't picture someone who works a normal job, drives a normal car, and checks their bank account with one eye closed. But here's what I want you to sit with for the next 15 minutes. What if the path to $1 million wasn't about a big break? What if it wasn't about earning more, hustling harder, or finding some financial secret that only wealthy people know? What if it was just $100 a day? Not $100,000, not $10,000, $100 per day. And what if I told you that most people already spend close to that? They just can't see where it's going. That's what this video is about. The hidden math that nobody showed you. The numbers that once you see them, you genuinely cannot unsee. And by the end of this, I want you to feel something you probably haven't felt about money in a long time, that this is actually possible for you. My name is Alex, and I spend way too much time thinking about how $100 a day quietly turns into $1 million, and why almost nobody realizes it's already within their reach. If you're someone who earns a decent income, feels like you're doing okay, but somehow can't seem to make real progress toward actual wealth, can't seem to close the gap between where you are and where you want to be, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Because today, we're going to break down the actual math, the real numbers, and I promise you, it is not what most people expect. The $100 a day reality check. All right. Let's start with something that's going to make you a little uncomfortable. $100 a day sounds like a lot, right? It sounds like something only high earners spend. But let's actually look at what $100 a day means in real life. $100 a day is $3,000 a month. Now, what does $3,000 a month look like for a regular person? Rent or mortgage, $1,200. Car payment and insurance, $450. Groceries, $400. Subscriptions, phone, internet, $200. Gas, $150. Eating out, coffee, random purchases, $400. Gym, apps, miscellaneous, $200. That's $3,000 right there, without a single extravagant purchase. Here's the thing. For a huge portion of working Americans, $3,000 a month in spending is completely normal. In fact, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average American household spends just over $5,000 per month. That's nearly $167 per day. So $100 a day isn't rich people money. It's just money moving every single day out of your account and into the economy. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. What happens when you flip the script? What happens if instead of spending $100 a day, you redirect even a portion of that toward building wealth? That is the question this entire video is built around. The hidden math. This is where everything changes. Let's do the math together. And I mean actually do it, because this is the part that most people hear, nod at, and then forget. I don't want you to forget this. $100 a day. That's $3,000 a month, $36,500 a year. Now, if you just saved that money, stuffed it in a savings account earning almost nothing, here's what you'd have. In 10 years, $365,000. In 20 years, $730,000. In 27 years, just over $1 million. Okay, that's already kind of wild when you say it out loud. 27 years of saving $100 a day makes you a millionaire. But here's what most people don't realize. That's the slow version. That's the mattress version. That completely ignores the most powerful force in personal finance, compound interest. Now, I know you've heard that term before, but I want to show you what it actually does to these numbers because the difference is genuinely shocking. Let's say instead of saving $100 a day, you invest $3,000 a month into a basic S&P 500 index fund. The S&P 500 has returned an average of roughly 10% annually over the last 50 years. Let's be conservative. Let's say 8%, accounting for inflation and fees. At $3,000 a month, 8% average annual return, you hit $1 million in just under 14 years. Not 27, 14. You cut the timeline almost in half, and you didn't earn more money. You didn't work harder. You just pointed the money in a different direction and let the math do what math does. But okay, $3,000 is a big number. Let's scale it down because I know not everyone is in that position right now. What if you could only do $1,000 a month, about $33 a day? At 8% annual return, $1,000 a month gets you to $1 million in roughly 25 years. You start at 30, you're a millionaire at 55, before traditional retirement age. How about $500 a month, $16 a day? $1 million in about 35 years. Start at 25, you're there by 60. Here's what I want you to notice. We went from $100 a day all the way down to $16 a day, and the destination is still the same. The only variable that changes is time. This is the hidden math. It's not about the amount, it's about starting. And it's about the one ingredient that turns small numbers into life-changing ones: time. Why most people never see this math work for them. Now, you might be thinking, Alex, if the math is this simple, why isn't everyone doing it? That is exactly the right question. And the answer is not laziness, it's not ignorance, it is something much more specific and much more fixable. There are 3 reasons why people never let this math work in their favor. Reason number 1, they can't see it happening. Here's a fundamental truth about human psychology. We are terrible at valuing things we can't see or feel, and compound interest for the first several years is basically invisible. Think about it. You invest $500 a month for an entire year. You've put in $6,000. At 8% return, you've earned maybe $250 in interest. That feels like nothing. That feels like a rounding error. So people look at that number, think this is pointless, and stop. But what they don't realize is that compound interest is not a straight line, it's a curve. In the early years, it barely moves, but in the later years, it goes nearly vertical. The last 10 years of a 30-year investment journey can generate more wealth than the first 20 years combined. A behavioral economics concept called hyperbolic discounting explains this perfectly. Our brains are wired to place dramatically more value on things happening now versus things happening in the future. A reward today feels real. A reward in 20 years feels theoretical. So we consistently choose today, the coffee, the dinner, the upgrade, over the future, every single time. The fix? Make the future feel real right now. Open an investment account, watch the number, track it monthly, give future you a face. When the abstract becomes concrete, your brain starts treating it differently. Reason number 2, lifestyle creep silently absorbs every raise. Here's a sneaky one, because it doesn't feel like a mistake, it feels like progress. You get a raise, you move to a slightly nicer apartment, you upgrade the car, you start eating at better restaurants, you add a few more subscriptions. None of those individually feel irresponsible, but here's what most people don't realize. If every income increase gets fully absorbed by lifestyle, your wealth-building trajectory never actually improves. You earn more and save the same, or sometimes even less, because the fixed costs go up. Here's a number that'll stick with you. If you earn a $500 a month raise and you invest just half of it, $250, instead of spending it all, over 20 years at 8% returns, that $250 a month becomes $148,000. One raise, half of it invested, $148,000. Now, imagine doing that every time your income goes up.
Reason number 3, they're waiting for the right time. I'll start investing when I pay off my student loans, when the market calms down, when I have a bigger emergency fund, when things feel more stable. Look, I understand every single one of those, and some of them are partially valid, but the right time is a trap because there is always a reason to wait. Life doesn't reach a stable, calm plateau where saving suddenly becomes easy. That moment doesn't exist. And here's the brutal math on waiting. If you wait just 5 years to start, just 5, and everything else is identical, you end up with roughly 40% less money at the end. Not 5% less, not 10%, 40%, just from waiting 5 years. I call this the procrastination tax, and it is the most expensive tax most people will ever pay, and it's entirely voluntary. The $100 per day reframe. Where does your money actually go? Let's come back to the original question, because I want to do something that most financial videos skip. I want to make the $100 a day real. Most people don't think they spend $100 a day, but let me walk you through how it actually accumulates. A 2023 study by Empower found that Americans spend an average of $314 per month on impulse purchases alone. That's about $10 a day gone, without intention, without planning. The same study found the average American spends $765 a year on unused subscriptions. That's $2 a day for services they forgot they were paying for. Add in food spending, the average American spends about $3,000 a year eating out, according to the USDA. That's over $8 a day just in restaurants. Now, I'm not saying don't eat out. I'm not saying cancel every subscription. But what I am saying is this. When you add it all up, most people are making dozens of small daily spending decisions that they've never actually examined. They've never asked, is this the highest value thing I can do with this dollar? Here's the reframe I want you to try. Every time you're about to spend money, ask yourself, is this worth more to me right now than what compound interest will turn it into? The $15 lunch, at 8% over 30 years, that's $151. The $200 impulse purchase, that's $2,000 in 30 years. I'm not saying the answer is always no. Sometimes the $15 lunch is absolutely worth it, but the decision should be conscious, not automatic. The exact path from $0 to $1 million. Okay, let's get specific, because information without action is just entertainment. Here is the actual path. Step 1. Find your $100 per day equivalent. This week, not someday, this week, pull up every transaction from the last 30 days, every single one. Add it up. Then divide by 30. That is your current daily spend rate. Most people are genuinely surprised by this number, and that surprise is the beginning of change. Step 2. Identify your redirectable dollars. You don't need to find $3,000 a month. Start with $200. Start with $100. Look at your spending and find the dollars that aren't buying you real happiness or real utility. The subscriptions you forgot about, the meals you barely remember eating, the upgrades that felt necessary in the moment. According to a NerdWallet survey, the average American wastes $139 a month on things they later regret buying. That's $1,668 a year. That alone, invested at 8% over 30 years, is over $206,000. Step 3. Automate before you can think about it. The single most powerful thing you can do is remove the decision entirely. Set up an automatic investment transfer on payday, before you see the money, before you spend it, before you even think about it. Research consistently shows that people who automate their savings accumulate significantly more wealth than those who transfer manually, even when the amounts are identical, because the manual version requires willpower every single month. Step 4. Use tax-advantaged accounts first. In the U.S., this means maxing out your 401k, especially if your employer matches, because that is a guaranteed 50 to 100% return on your money before a single investment is made. Then a Roth IRA, which allows $7,000 per year in contributions and lets your investments grow completely tax-free. If you maxed a Roth IRA from age 25 to 65 at 8% average returns, you'd have over $1.9 million tax-free. Step 5. Invest in index funds and leave it alone. Here's what most people don't realize. The average actively managed fund underperforms the market over a 20-year period. The people trying to beat the market mostly don't. A simple S&P 500 index fund, boring, unsexy, automatic, has outperformed the majority of professional investors over the last 30 years. You don't need to be smart. You need to be consistent. And you need to not panic when the market drops. Because it will drop, and every time it does, people sell. They lock in their losses right before the recovery. The people who become millionaires are almost universally the people who did the boring thing. They kept contributing, they didn't touch it, and they let time do the work. Step 6. Increase the amount every time your income goes up. This is the multiplier. Every raise, every bonus, every side income, take at least 50% of the increase and redirect it to investments before lifestyle creep absorbs it. If you do this consistently, your wealth building rate accelerates without your lifestyle feeling restricted. Look, I want to be straight with you before we wrap up. $1 million is not a guarantee. It's not fast, and for some people watching this, the starting point is harder than for others. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. But here is what I know for certain. The math is real. The compound interest is real. The inflection point where your money starts generating more per month than you manually contribute is real. And every single person who ever reached financial independence got there the same way. They started, they stayed consistent, and they didn't quit during the boring middle part. That boring middle part, where the number barely seems to move, where it feels like nothing is happening, that is actually everything. That is where the foundation is being built. That is where the habit becomes identity. And then, one day, you look at your account and it's crossed $50,000, then $100,000. Then the growth starts accelerating in ways that feel almost unreal. And you'll realize the math was always there. It was always working. You just had to start it. So, here's your action step for today. Not next week, today. Go find your daily spend number. Open an investment account if you don't have one. Set up even a $100 automatic transfer. Start the clock. Because the most expensive day of your financial life isn't the day you made a bad investment, it's the day you decided to wait one more month. If this video helped you, hit that like button. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people who need to hear this. Subscribe if you're new here because we go deep on this stuff every single week. And drop a comment below. Tell me what your $100 per day target is. Are you starting from zero? Are you halfway there? I read every single one. See you in the next one.